And on the Metcash decision, I was joined earlier from Canberra by ACCC Chairman Graeme Samuel. Graeme Samuel, welcome to Lateline Business.
Thanks, Vicky.
Why are you blocking a deal that might have cracked the Coles and Woolworths duopoly?
I don't think this is a deal that was ever going to crack the Coles and Woolworths duopoly, Ticky. Our primary concern, we expressed this in our statement of issues, and we've subsequently expressed it in the media release we issued today, was that Metcash is essentially the sole wholesaler supplier of packaged goods to independent retailers. Franklin's had set itself up when it broke away from the Metcash wholesale supply arrangement some years ago. Franklin's had set itself up as a potential new supplier to independent retailers. If Metcash had absorbed Franklin's, that would have taken us back a few years to that position of Metcash being the sole monopoly wholesaler of packaged goods to independent retailers. That to us was substantially anti-competitive, particularly as we are aware that there are other parties that have expressed a strong interest in acquiring the whole of the Franklin's business and in pursuing a competitive wholesale operation for independent retailers.
Presumably Coles and Woolies have got a collective sigh of relief here, and it does depend upon what you define as a market.
I'm not so sure that Coles and Woolies will be heaving a sigh of relief at all. There are two messages that we've given as a result of this decision. The first is that we think there's a real prospect for some competition at the wholesale level in supplying packaged goods to independent retailers, which gives them then the capacity to be able to compete with Coles and Woolworths at the retail level. An observation we made in our grocery inquiry report of 2008 was that independent retailers supplied by Metcash were generally not able to be price competitive with Coles and Woolworths because the wholesale prices that they were acquiring their packaged goods from Metcash was not low enough, was not competitive enough to enable them to compete with Coles and Woolies. Now, if what we can have is a competitive wholesaler out there that puts some pressure on Metcash's wholesale supply lines, then we have some really interesting potential wholesale competition and thus retail competition amongst independent retailers for Coles and Woolworths. The other observation I would make, of course, is that Coles and Woolworths are feeling now the competitive pressure in their own dynamic amongst themselves. Coles now being a lot more aggressive in its own pricing and its own business strategies over the past year or so, and it is itself feeling, or they are both feeling now, the pressures from Aldi and